Hello everybody, welcome to the review. It's 9:45 p.m. Came home after watching Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife, as part of the lineup of Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and here we are with Frozen Empire. As per usual, it'll be spoiler free, and if you happen to like the content of my channel, please hit the subscribe button below and spread the word to your friends and family. Provide a like or a comment if you want to. Ghostbusters has always been a huge, important, significant part of my childhood. Growing up, I can remember when we lived in all these different military housing installation units, being afraid of ghosts was something that was another part of my childhood. And my father became so immensely annoyed to the point to where I remember he would take my Egon Spangler action figure, place it on a dresser, saying that Egon is on guard duty, and if we gets tired, we're going to go ahead and put Winston on there. I was maybe about 7 or 8 at the time, so after that, I was never afraid of ghosts anymore. I would watch the movies, the cartoons, and even the underrated animated series of Filmation's Ghostbusters. I had the uniform and the proton pack, Slimer, Ecto 1. Those are memories that I will cherish for the rest of my life. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is taking place after the events of Afterlife, where you have the return of Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, McKenna Grace, and Finn Wolfhard, along with Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson as the iconic Ghostbusters. And the ultimate evil has been discovered in New York City with this ancient relic that has the capabilities of freezing and commanding an army of ghosts and freezing the entire New York City in an apocalyptic wasteland. It is up to the Ghostbusters, who unfortunately have been, in a way, experiencing a sense of setbacks and being phased out due to the accidental destructions that they bring upon New York City. Now, one of the main highlights for me as I watched this film that I've immensely enjoyed is the continued interaction between Carrie Coon, McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, and Paul Rudd. They obviously have natural chemistry with one another, where their dialogue seems so authentic. It flows seamlessly and is comedic, and it just makes sense. And the massive highlight really is the continued growth of McKenna Grace as Phoebe Spangler. There's a scene in the film that I felt was a minor missed opportunity, but at the same time, it still provided that necessary sense of a heartwarming, wholesome moment that I do believe you will recognize when it happens. Because where the film shines completely is when it's focusing on the Spangler family, and that's what made the first two Ghostbusters, even Afterlife, so memorable. When it's focusing on the family core unit, the original characters, the characters that make the film go, and that is what made this particular movie special for me. It's not to say that it's perfect, but it just works so much well. That's what made the first two films great. When you're watching those two, you're watching the interactions between Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray, and Dan Aykroyd. Their interactions is what made those films classic. One of the things that I did not like specifically about this film is how they included Patton Oswalt, and then Camille. I am not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name, because I know I would butcher it. Including them was not necessary in this film, and I just felt that they were more of a distraction. Even though there was certain levels of comedic humor that did land, they weren't necessary for the story at hand. And I just sincerely hope that should there be a sequel, they're not included, because they didn't even need to be in the film, in my opinion. But when it comes to the execution of the story, I thought it was fairly well done. Another complaint, it's a minor complaint. Certain moments that transpire on the screen, they're not seriously focused upon. It seems to happen too quickly, and it's not given enough time to really resonate with the audience. And when it does land, it's absolutely perfect. So I'm hoping that with the sequel, they'll be able to focus more on the character development and the emotional impacts, rather than having to transition to the next scene quickly. Bill Murray, it's always wonderful to see the original Ghostbusters lineup in their uniforms and hearing the proton pack charge on the big screen. That PA sound, when you hear it, it never fails to turn on the nostalgia light and within your heart and soul. Another great moment, another great concept that is being embraced once again within the Ghostbusters mythology is the return of the traditional horror movie method, where the ghosts seem a bit more realistic, more creepier, and it's interesting watching it happen. Whereas I do believe the 2016 Ghostbusters really became too much focus on the CGI factor, rather than showing the different personalities of the ghosts themselves. But overall, I thought the film was fairly well made. I thought it was entertaining and unique and a surprising amount of heart and warmth within the film. It's not to say that it's not to say that it's up there with the original two, because that's never going to happen. You're never going to be able to replicate that same type of magic that exists with those two iconic films. But from here on out, Afterlife and Frozen Empire really does a great job as far as continuing the story. I'm hoping that with the sequel, it does go into a more deeper and darker direction. We're focusing more on the Spangler family. But other than that, I thought Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was entertaining. It was unique. It had a lot of cute Easter eggs in there that is going to be very obvious to the Ghostbusters fanatics. But I'm going to go ahead and say that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is about a 7.5 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10. Possibly a repeat view will have me look at it in a different perspective once again. But I'm going to go ahead and say a 7.5, 8 out of 10. There's a certain amount of improvements that could be made within the story, but I don't really necessarily have any complaints. So that is my review. I hope you all enjoyed it. Oh, and it is a 2 thumbs up. Be sure to leave a comment if you want to, provide a like, and that is my review, and let me know what you thought about the film as well. Take care, and peace out.